On tap, Brooklyn, Sorachi Ace for Brooklyn Brewery.
Better beer authority, better beer.
Brooklyn Brewery was founded in 1998. The beers can be found in 25 states and 20 countries. A fun fact about the Curly B logo, it was designed by famed designer Milton Glaser, who is best known for designing the I Love New York logo in exchange for an ownership stake in the company. Sorachi Ace is a single hop farmhouse saison featuring the Sorachi Ace hop from Washington State. It clocks in at 7.6% ABV and 34 IBUs. Sorachi Ace has Brooklyn's Belgian yeast strain and a champagne yeast as a secondary yeast. Its beer advocate score is 92. You should get a lemony aroma from the hops and a dry malty finish on the taste. According to Brooklyn's website, it tastes like sunshine in a glass. Let's see what the panelists think. Let the blind taste test begin. Andrew, tell me about the aroma and the appearance of this beer.
Aroma, definitely getting some definite spice notes, whether it's almost, not necessarily I would say black pepper, but I know we were talking beforehand, you mentioned grains of paradise kind of thing, and I think that's, I can't quite put my finger on what it is exactly, as far as the aroma on it, but I'm getting spice notes, some definitely banana. Appearance-wise, it's a nice hazy yellow, almost, the first thing I thought of as soon as you handed this to me was Hefeweizen. But it's definitely a really nice, very aromatic type of beer.
Okay, good. Brian, what flavors are you pulling from this, and what style do you think this is?
Okay, I think I'm picking up, and let it sit on my palate for a while, I'm picking up some lemon, possibly some sort of pepper. It's definitely complex. I think to me it's like a Belgian wheat of some sort.
Okay, alright, good stuff. And David, tell us about pairing this beer with food.
I think this is a great food beer where it's not such a strong, overwhelming flavor, but it would complement stuff. I'm thinking spicy Thai food, green curry, Indian food. I had tikka masala last night. This would be great with that.
So would it calm the spice down, or in central?
I think it would bring out the flavors of the spices better, and I think it would be really good. It wouldn't calm the flames or anything, but I think it would just bring out not the heat, but the flavors of the sauces. I think it would be great.
All right, cool. Andrew, is there a time and place for this beer? And afterwards, give me your rating and tell me why.
Time and place for this beer. This one really is something for me. I like this style of beer. I could really have this almost any time, honestly. it's something that I could have even, now in the winter time with a good, good hearty meal, because it's not something that, would overpower anything. You mentioned some, hotter, spicier meals. You could have this. To me, it would be pretty versatile. I'm definitely giving this an 8. I really, really like it. I would definitely recommend this to, anybody. It's definitely something to certainly try out.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a beer that's gonna fill me up, but it's still packed with a lot of flavor.
And the aftertaste is really, really nice, because if you just let it sit, like you said, just not having anything, not drinking it for a little bit, just the flavor, the aftertaste is really, really nice.
Yeah, Brian, I know it hasn't been so long since we opened this beer, and you still don't know what it is, but have the flavors changed at all since it started warming up and since you started drinking it? And give me a big picture and rating of the beer.
To me, it's still the strongest part of that taste is that citrus. Maybe the temperature has something to do with it, but now as far as where I see it as rating it, I see it as a 7. I would pick this over some other types of ales at a bar. I'm usually an IPA, hoppy type person, but this is something that's quite pleasant to have, especially during certain times of the year where it's warmer. It's something that I can go to a few times at a bar.
All right, good. So 7 for Brian.
7, yeah.
David, what's your rating for this beer, and do you think this is something you've had before?
I'm giving this an 8. I think it's something I've had before. I think I know what it is. I'm going to guess Port City Optimal Wit. If I'm wrong, oh well. But I really like this beer. An 8, I would recommend it if you're at a restaurant and you don't want something that's going to fill you up. This is a go-to beer. And what I also like about it is it's not the biggest beer, it's not the boldest beer, but it just seems like a really well-made beer that, and sometimes you just don't need those rare whales. You just want a beer, and this is a great one.
Awesome.
Often like sessionable, I'd say maybe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is funny that it's sessionable. I'm about to do the reveal, so I'll go ahead and say it's 7.6% ABV.
Wow.
So it's definitely not.
Well, it's not.
Definitely not optimal weight.
No.
Wow.
It's definitely, I wouldn't say it's sessionable.
Right.
It feels like it could be sessionable, so it's something that.
One of you guys had some of the tasting notes right, and I'll explain that after I do the reveal. So why don't I do the reveal now, and we'll get your reactions afterwards.
All right.
Sounds good.
And here it is, Brooklyn Brewery Sorachi Ace. It's
Really?
Yeah, it's a single hop farmhouse saison
Okay.
using the Sorachi Ace hop. It's known for having a lemony aroma and flavor. So Brian, you were right on with that. I chose this beer because I thought it was just a great example of a saison, and I know some beer drinkers aren't sure, what a saison is. They think more when they think of ales, they'll think of pale ale, IPA. They'll go to stouts and porters, and saison often isn't talked about as being, in popularity, just not as much. So that's why I chose it. Let's see, Andrew. So have you had many saisons before? And how do you stack this up with the other saisons?
I haven't had very many. I mean, I've always enjoyed it, but I know most times when you go to, a bar or bottle shop or whatnot, I get more drawn to some of your standards, your stouts, your IPAs and pale ales and whatnot. So I think it kind of gets kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit for me personally, but I've always enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So
you gave this an A, which is
I really,
pretty
like I said, it was really, really nice. Like I said, and he mentioned Port City Optimal Wit, because I mean it definitely has a lot of those wit type characteristics, and like I said, for it to be this kind of refreshing type of beer, it definitely fits. It's definitely something that I did really, really enjoy, and I will certainly keep an eye out to get this in the future.
Awesome. It used to be, I think, part of the Big Bottle release series, but it's now a year-round release, so it's easy to get now.
Perfect.
Brian, you pinpointed the lemony flavor, which is known as the Sorachi Ace. My question, written beforehand, is actually, can you separate the hop flavors from the rest of the beer? And I guess the answer is yes, because you did. What else can you tell us? Can you smell it in it? I know you're a hop head, and this is a different way of using hops than IPAs.
Yeah, it is quite different. I've had saisons before. I've had Stone and Victory Ale. They had their release of saison like 2 years ago.
The Saison du Boeuf.
Yeah, the
Yeah, the
debuff,
one
which
with the dog
this
fish.
is reminding me of that. I'm not gonna say which one's better because I frankly it's been a while since I had it.
I think they use those ones. They use herbs from the garden.
They used a lot of spice in that one.
Yeah.
This one's
Parsley,
definitely more
rosemary,
muted, right?
Yeah.
More muted on the spice on this one, but in a really nice way.
Yeah, in terms of the hops question,
Yeah.
much different from what I'm used to from being a hop head IPA, fan. So this is it's hard to answer that because I'm not seasoned in this type of beer,
Right.
other than what I've had before with Victory and Stone. But this is it's new to me. I like it. I gave this 7. And I would have more. But in terms of the hop question,
Yeah.
need to be a little more seasoned in having these to describe that.
Yeah. Well, I think it shows the hop more of a flavoring agent than a bittering agent in this farmhouse saison style. David, they use 2 yeast strains in this beer. I don't know much about brewing, but usually a brewer will use maybe one. They use their Belgian proprietary yeast, and then secondary they use a champagne yeast. What does the champagne yeast do for the mouthfeel?
Oh, you're asking the wrong guy. No, I think with the champagne yeast, and I'm probably wrong here, you probably get more of the smaller bubbles, like the more carbonated ones. Sometimes we'll use it in a cider that we've brewed. I don't know if maybe saying smaller bubbles makes a difference, but it definitely has not much of a big pop, but just a lot of little pops in the mouthfeel, if that makes any kind of sense.
It does.
Whatsoever.
That's exactly what I think a champagne yeast does.
But what I like, the Belgian yeast, you would expect the banana esters from, and maybe the combination of two yeasts plus the Sorachi hop kind of mutes that a bit, which is good because I'm not a fan of too much banana ester in my beers. So I really like this beer, and I think the way that the yeasts work together is just perfect.
Awesome. Okay, Sorachi Ace gets a 7.7 on the BBA scale. Have you had this beer? How do you like saisons? Leave your comments in the comment section. I'm Richard Hartogs, and this is the Better Beer Authority.
Better Beer Authority.